it was kind of funny. It's the more people in IT, the technologists we talk to, generally, it's not, even though there's a really high rate of failure among technology projects, and I define failure as things that don't meet their intended original goals. Um, Most of the technologists we talked to said that it's not because that they were not able to do what they said they were going to do. In most cases, with sometimes they miss schedules and budget, but generally they deliver what they're supposed to do. And that the problem seems to be whether something succeeds or fails. It depends on the climate that the technology is introduced to, the culture around it, and whether it's accepted or not. So that seems to make the big difference. Now, we knew that a lot of companies were bringing in, customers to sort of represent and make sure that they were doing the right thing. So it didn't seem that they were not having input from customers. We came to the conclusion that what it was that the input they were getting from customers was very point specific, and it didn't really understand the bigger context of the problem that they were trying to solve, if that makes sense. So we sort of began to iterate on this idea that it's not so much necessarily directly what the customer tells you they want. It's as much as understanding the context of why they told you they wanted it and what is their end goal. And that really seems to be that you have to get a good grasp on that before you really even begin to understand what the customer is saying. When we looked across all the projects and all the products that we looked at, the thing that we found to be sort of the common denominator among all kinds of projects is really time. Time is you can spend money, sometimes you run out of money, but time's a finite resource. And so for everybody, no matter how wealthy or not wealthy you are, when you run out of time, that's it. So when you start thinking about how do you evaluate projects that seem to have nothing to do with each other, we came up with this idea, well, you boil everything down to a common denominator so you can compare apples to apples, and the basis of that should be time. And Tom sort of developed on this idea of a real-time monitoring system. And maybe, Tom, you want to talk a little bit about that idea?
Sure. Well, I'll step back just a bit from that and move into it by talking about how we came to conclude that time is basically something we need to pay attention to from the customer's perspective. I mean, time is important to companies, of course, because of the limited resources they have and the limited time they have to do things. But the really driving force, it seems, is that time has become the dominant customer currency. And we really need to pay attention to the customer's time more so than we do need to pay attention to our own time. And the companies that embrace this idea of valuing customer time are going to succeed in the future here. And that's going to be where the revolution is occurring, that companies are paying attention to that. And they're going to have to help their organizations come to value customer time. Now, how do they do that? Well, one of the things they have to understand is where are customers spending their time now, and how much time are they spending? What's the value and quality of that time that they're spending as they interact with the company? We can give examples of that. For example, there's a company called Liberty Bottle Works that we use in our opening chapter, and they design bottles with different size and graphics on them, and they came to realize that if they would allow the customer to enter the specifications, it would be faster than and getting it into production than if they had to go through an artist, and if they already knew the specifications, it'd be easy to do. And so they designed an interface to allow customers to enter the specifications for the bottles that they needed, and they could do this on a quick turnaround time then. So you have to be able to monitor where the customer is spending their time And if it's in that design process and they can get the input in easier, that's what they decided they could do better. And over time, you're going to see that products have a process of development, a process of producing them, processes of using them, and then you need to dispose of the product. And so if you're monitoring the interaction that the company has with the customer over all of those different time periods and look at the quality of the time, you can get an idea of where you need to be making your improvements.